All right. Well, hi, tubers and tubettes. We're back here with all kinds of high-tech equipment today because I'm with my buddy Vern. And Vern is starting a YouTube channel. You've had a YouTube channel. So we shamelessly promote everybody and anybody here on the Dog Channel. And so Vern, why don't you tell them what your channel name is and what it's about and what you do?
So I have two channels. And the channel that I started first was called Click and Picket. And Click and Picket is my photography channel. And what people had told me was that my channel needed to be more niche down. So instead of having photography, the Philippines interviews and everything else, I kind of broke it off into Hey Vern Philippines. So my main channel now that I'm promoting is Hey Vern Philippines. And I've lived here since 2016. So I try to share my adventures, connecting with people and learning and growing and just kind of overall sharing.
And we just did an interview with Vern on his channel. So if you want to see that interview of Vern asking me a bunch of car questions, which I didn't know the faintest thing about.
Right. That was a surprise.
Because I was in the car business for over 40 years. I guess the typical assumption would be that I know a lot of stuff about cars, but I didn't actually sell cars for very long. I was actually in the finance department, so it was a totally different deal. I didn't need to know anything about the cars. I just need to know about the products and the problems and the issues and the paperwork and the registration and all this and that. That dealt with kind of the legal contracts and all that with buying a car. So that's where that came from. So anyway, Vern did a little test on me. I failed miserably. And you'll want to watch my absolute abject failure on his channel, Hey Vern. And we'll put a link in the description box to his channel when we get all done with this. So what motivated you to start a little YouTube channel?
Well, when I came here, I needed to find some source of income and I didn't really know what I was going to do. And my passion at the time was photography. And what my friend that had started a YouTube channel back in the US had told me, the best way to promote yourself and to get known would be through YouTube. So I built my photography channel, but I did a few things wrong. I thought if...
welcome to the team.
I thought if adjusting your keywords and your tags were a good thing, then doing it frequently would really help. But it went the other way. They pretty much stopped promoting my channel.
Okay.
And so I had to ask people and say, well, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with my channel? Is it the keywords? Is it me changing things? Is it my content? And some people had said, well, you need to niche down. And that's when I decided to take everything non-photography related and put it on its own dedicated Philippines channel.
Okay. So it's more of like your life, your adventures, your thoughts, stuff like that.
Exactly.
So let's do this. So you and I, this is the first time that you and I have actually been one-on-one with each other. We've seen each other around town and said hi, and that was kind of it. And now we had an opportunity for you to come over, and he brought in some cool lighting. You can't see it, but it's like, wow.
It's a nice ring light.
It's nice little setup here. What I'm interested in is that you came over here on savings. You didn't come over here with an income stream like I did.
Right.
And so now we've got, and you're kind of learning on the fly. Is that correct? I mean, you're teaching English, but you've had some setbacks with that, correct?
Yeah, it's not even part-time anymore. It's so little that I'm teaching.
Okay. So would you have done that differently? I mean, looking back, I know it's easy to go back in time and change everything. But for the guys watching out there right now that are thinking about coming out here and earning a living, because you're in your 50s, is that correct?
I'll be 51 at the end of this month.
Okay, so you're before retirement age, and you came out here and your sole income is going to be teaching online, but you've got a nest egg. Right. Now, I don't want to get too deep into your finances and all that kind of stuff. That's not what I want to do. But in order to kind of educate and also find out more about you, you're living off your savings, and your notion was that once you got out here, you would start to teach, and everything was going good. And then they changed the parameters, I think, on the teaching. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, so you kind of got whacked around a little bit. And So what is your plan from this point forward? I mean, unless you've got millions of dollars in the bank, you're going to have a savings account, and it's eventually going to go to a point of no return.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
And again, I'm not breaking your balls here, because I know intentions are good, but where do you plan to go, or what's your thoughts, or what kind of plan B do you have?
So that's an interesting question. So I've always worked with my hands. I had my own auto body restoration shop for 20 years. I worked for other people for 5 years. So I'm very mechanical. I can take an engine apart, put it together, make it run. So
Okay.
I've always had skills. I've always had something to fall back onto. Now, when I came here, I was just not satisfied with my life, and I didn't know what direction I wanted to go, and I needed to come over here to decide what I wanted to do. And I sold my house so I have enough of a buffer for a few years to figure out what will work.
Okay.
And I've always came to the conclusion, if I couldn't make this go, I could go back to work there. I could work part-time and come back here.
Yeah, that was
and
kind of
live.
my idea too. When I came out here, I said, people say, wow, you're crazy. You're going halfway around the world. And my response was, well, I'm a plane ticket back from going home. If I've got $800 and can buy a one-way ticket back to the States, I can always come back to the States. I can always get another job. I can always rent another apartment. I guess I'll buy another car and just start the madness all over again.
Right.
But shame on me if I don't give it a try. You know what I mean? That was my theory.
That's it.
And so you were fed up with being fed up, and you decided that you were going to get on a plane, come over here. You had X amount of dollars, and you were working and online teaching English, and you've hit a couple of road bumps with that, right?
Right.
But it hasn't hit critical mass or anything like that.
No. I for myself, I'm pretty responsible. So
Yeah.
if it ever got to a point where it would be below my comfort threshold, then I would go back. I mean, that's all there is to it. But for me, the value is trying to grow, trying to reinvent, taking the risks to come out of my comfort zone and try something new. And that's why I've tried this YouTube platform, because I see it is a viable income stream.
Okay.
And if I push it enough, and if I make good enough content, it should be of a value.
Yeah.
And so it may not work, it may work, but
Sure.
what is my life worth if I never tried?
Right. What was your biggest motivation for leaving the States?
Well, I went through a divorce in 2013, and at that time I thought the house, the cars, everything would satisfy me. And when I went through my divorce, I had to hold the business. I had 5 acres, I had a big shop, I had a big house, and I had to do everything myself. And after 3 years of holding it together, I thought, if I get sick or hurt, I'm going to lose everything I've worked for all these years. And I thought there's got to be a better solution to doing this. So that was kind of my big motivation. And for me, I like to be around people. I'm a big people person. And what I noticed from growing up in the US is that year after year after year, nobody had time for anybody. The communities kind of just dissolved. You couldn't just talk to anybody. If I said, hey, how are you? They'd go, who are you? And when can you leave, right? They wouldn't be interested in knowing who you are.
Yeah.
And I knew that it had to change. There had to be some place where life made sense again. And for me, that was the value. If I didn't have as high of a standard in the new place that I lived compared to what I had, that's okay, as long as the value was worth it for the connections that I would gain and the peace of mind and the joy that I would have.
Okay.
I just didn't need as much as I thought I needed before.
So how long have you been here?
I've been here since January 2016.
And what's your happy meter say?
At first, it didn't know what to think. It's such a shock. When you come over here, it's such a shock. And when I went to different places, I would see people that were leaving, and they're like...
Did you start off here in Dumaguete?
I started off, yes, where I first lived in Dumaguete, correct.
Okay. All right.
Correct. And what happened when I stayed in Cebu for 2 weeks the year before I moved here. I kind of did a little test to see what it would be like.
Okay.
And I met some people trying to get a feedback of what it would be like living here. And some people were like, oh no, man, you're going to get tired of it and you're just going to have to leave. And so that was my first impression from talking to a lot of different people. And so I didn't know what to think. And I kept an open mind. But what I've come to discover is what you get for the value in connection and in community far outweighs what you could have in materialism and things back home that doesn't satisfy.
Yeah.
And to me, that was where the heart of the Philippines came in. And to me, for my happy meter, I'd say it's probably 80%. The other 20% I don't focus on, and I'm happy.
Right. How long have you had your YouTube channel?
Click and Picket is about, this September will be a year. The new Vern channel, that started 3 months ago.
Okay. And which one's the most successful?
The Philippines one is growing by far faster.
The Vern.
The Vern, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So the photography deal, which is the Click It and Picket thing,
Right.
that one's kind of suffered a little bit.
I pulled aside for it for a while. I figured if I could get this channel up and going, then I would feed my subscribers back into that channel and then breed new life into that channel over time.
Yeah.
And the thing that I discovered is there's so much more competition in photography.
Yeah.
And also, if you mess up the algorithm with your channel, they'll just stop promoting your videos.
Okay.
And so for me to keep feeding into that, I had to step back and do something different. It just wasn't making any sense.
Okay.
I mean, I'm getting 10 viewers a day now on that channel, and that's not going to do anything. And it never used to be that way.
Oh, 10 people, 10 views.
10 views.
Now how about Hey Vern?
Now, that'll average about 300 views.
Okay.
200 to 300 views a day.
And that's 3 months old.
3 months old, correct.
Okay, and how many videos do you have up there?
46.
46 videos.
46 videos.
How long are your videos?
Anywhere from 3 minutes to 30 minutes.
Okay. And basically it's just your everyday life?
It's a little everything. I do a little bit of comedy. I try to connect to people. To me, that's the heart of the Philippines, to connect to the people, to become more than just a solo player in this environment. I feel if you're coming to the Philippines and you want to live a solitary type existence, you can do that. But I think the real joy is in the connections that you can build and being a part of community. Hey, how are you doing today? And just being more than just yourself.
Okay.
I think that's where the heart of this shines.
Okay. All right.
So
what was the toughest thing for you to try to adjust to out here?
The toughest thing, trying to understand the dating, it can be a real minefield out here. And I'm not a player. I'm not a big player. I lead with my heart. And if you're not on your A game and you are generous and kind, you can be steamrolled over and you will be hurting in your head for a while about that.
Let's chat about that. Let's expand upon that a little bit. Because the last few guests that I've had on have all been in successful relationships with a cute girl. They're very happy, and this, that, and the other. Has that been your experience, or are you maybe the flip side?
In what sense have I?
As far as meeting somebody, dating somebody, I mean, have you found that to be easy? Have you found it to be a challenge? If you don't want to share that, you don't have to. It's up to you.
There was a point that I was single for 2 years. Now,
Here.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, when I was married in the States, the gal that I married told me she loved me, and she told me this for 2 years. And I didn't really feel right in my heart to marry her, but I thought, well, I don't know what it's supposed to feel like. Maybe that's how it was supposed to feel. And so I committed to her, and I married for life. I would have never left her.
Right.
And when she walked out on me, that devastated me.
In the States.
In the States. And I'm somewhat of a clever guy. I can usually figure things out. And I thought that I could read her and know who she was. But so for me now, I kind of know what works, what doesn't work, and what to be careful for. So I'm really cautious who I date now, because I don't want to go through that. I'm looking for a serious long-term relationship. I don't want to have something just be in my house as a warm body just to exist, because that's not going to bring me much joy. So I'm real cautious now who I date and why I date.
Okay. Do you date a lot? Do you have an opportunity to meet a lot of girls, or is that not panned out? I mean, what's it been like as far as, let's just take the first year that you were in the Philippines.
Okay.
Did you meet a lot of girls? Did you not meet a lot of girls? Did you join a dating site? Did you not join a dating site? Were you interested in doing that, or were you busy setting up?
I did all the above. I did the dating sites. I wrote my number on the sheets of paper. I gave my number out. I didn't date a lot of people, but I dated a handful of people.
Okay.
And if you're new here, it works to your advantage. If they know you've been here a long time, then they're like, well, why isn't he married? Why is he single? So it's a different ball game than when you're not here. And I met girls that I liked, that I really connected with, but there was still something missing. When it came time to going to the next level, it just didn't feel like it was right for me. So instead of wasting their time and my time, I'm like, I need something different. I want to be honest with you. And so that's why I didn't get too serious for too long with the girls that I met.
Have you had a serious relationship in the 3 years that you've been here? 3 years, right?
I did date a girl for 6 months.
Okay.
And
how did you meet her?
I met her working at a resto bar. She was behind the counter serving.
So you like had a dialogue with her. You met her in person.
Yes, yes.
Did you ever have any success with meeting people, or women I should say, online?
I got scammed more times online than
Thanks for admitting
anything that you could admit. I went to Bohol one time and I met this girl, and
let's back up. Did she invite you to Bohol?
No, I had been to Bohol and I was looking to meet somebody while I was there. I thought, well, I'm here for 2 weeks. I might as well try to meet somebody to see if I can make a connection.
Okay.
And so
you were in Bohol already.
Right.
And you were online.
Right.
And that's why you met the girl in Bohol.
Right.
Okay, so you did meet her.
Yes.
In person.
Yes.
All right, please continue.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So I meet her, and she rides a van down from the top of Bohol, and I wait for her for 2 hours, and I meet her, and we decide the next day we're going to go to, they have this Lubbock River Cruise, which is wonderful. And she kind of kept playing me, well, now that you're paying for my girlfriend and I to go to this cruise, can we just pay for the driver to come along to the cruise too? And it got really weird like that. She just kept taking advantage of my kindness. And then it got really late. We took like the last shuttle van home. And she's like, well, can you get me a room for myself? Can I have my own room? And I'm thinking, okay, this is a little crazy. She just kind of kept taking advantage of me. But before the night finished, the van driver said to me, he says, I don't like the way she treated you. It wasn't a good fit. She was a professional dater.
Okay.
And I wasn't even aware. And she had me just.
There's no shame in that. In that, because I've been clipped, and I've explained that in previous videos about. I dated a girl that had a boyfriend, a Filipino boyfriend, and 2 kids at home. And I thought she was single.
Oh boy!
I was with her for 2 weeks, so before I finally found out. So that stuff happens out here.
Right.
So, and I always say in my videos that guys that are watching out there, that I like to take the shine off the dime. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I never want to portray this as just Eden and paradise and everything's perfect.
Right.
Because sometimes that's a false illusion. Now, I'm very happy out here. I know you're very happy out here. But I think it's important that we just share with guys our failures.
Right.
Because that's reality. And as long as you learn from a failure, then you actually get a victory out of it.
Right.
Because now you don't do it again. It's like the old fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, right?
Right.
So that's the way I look at it. So you're in your relationship for 6 months. Was that someone that lived with you, or was that someone that you just dated regularly, or what was the dynamics there?
It was somebody I dated, and she had a kid, and I'd never been with a girl that had a kid, so it was kind of a new dynamic. And for me, I discovered that there are different education levels here, different interest levels here in people. And some people that you find will be very simple. They're not interested in politics. They're not interested in travel topics. And so you can meet somebody quite often that you might be attracted to. You might think they're just the greatest person, but there's really not much of a connection bond on a deeper level. And for me, that was so important. And I didn't realize how important that was until it got into our relationship. And so instead of talking and communicating, it was video games.
Yeah.
And I thought, I feel like this is my roommate instead of somebody I'm in love with. And I needed more.
So you're attracted to a woman on an intellectual basis as well as physical basis.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I actually find that to be very, very attractive also, intellectually. I have met people, both men and women, that I am just enamored by them because of the conversations that we can have.
Right.
And they take me to new levels that I never knew existed. And I walk away from it knowing more than when I walked in. You know what I'm saying? And so there's so many girls out here, women out here, that due to different educational levels, just intelligence levels, etc., that you're only going to get so far, and that's it.
Right, right.
So I think you, as a person, what's good with you is that you know what you're looking for. And you're not willing to settle, I don't think.
Right.
So then it's like it's okay to be single. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And are you actively looking for anybody right now, or are you just enjoying your solitude, or where are you at as far as that goes?
I am actively looking. I'll be 51 at the end of this month, and so for me, I've never had a child. And so I think that would be something of value to do at some point, and sooner than later, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I don't want to sacrifice that connection just to have that option. So, everybody says, here, take your time.
Yeah.
And know her and know her family. And so I really think that's important.
Okay, cool. Cool. So, is there anybody special in your life right now, or just to clarify, are you dating anybody at this particular moment, or are you a bachelor?
I'm chatting somebody, but I don't know if they're ready for a relationship. So it's kind of still flying solo.
Okay.
Basically flying solo.
No shame in that.
No shame.
I did that for a long, long time till I hooked up with Baby May. And then even that was a process, and continues to be. So, everybody's got their own timetable.
Right.
So that's interesting. So you're here on basically a savings account. You were working, just to kind of sum it up. Work got kind of snafu'd. And I just gave you a suggestion on where to work, what you might look into. And so where do you see yourself like in 2 years from now? Do you think that you'll be gainfully employed here, keeping the dream alive, or maybe you're going to have to pull up and go home for a while, or what do you think's going to happen?
Well, I came here to make it. I didn't come here to break it. I'm a go-getter, and so when I worked for myself, every day it was trying to find some new thing to better myself, to climb a little higher. And so to me, it's all about the climb. I came here to climb. I didn't come to fall down.
Okay.
And so I'm going to make this go to some degree. I don't know how high it will go, but at some point, if I need to course correct or alter, or go back there and work part-time till this takes off, then that's what I do.
Go back where?
To the U.S. to work part-time if I had to.
All right, because I think that you need to be aware of where you might have a breaking point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's guys that I haven't personally met any of these people. I've heard about them, but guys that go broke out here.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I got to be truth in lending. I've never met one. I've seen guys that live on very little, but they had a little income stream.
Right.
But I hear the horror stories of guys that come out with X amount of dollars, and they burn through it, and then they're just stuck and homeless. And I can't think of a worse scenario.
Totally agree.
Because I like the idea of the fact that you're 51 means, it's a lot harder for a 65-year-old guy to go apply for a job. They take one look at you and they go, well, no. And but a guy like yourself, especially with your skills, you know how to refurbish cars. I mean, you can't never be too old for that. Right. In fact, your age and your experience would qualify you for a higher pay grade, in my thinking, if you went back to go work for an auto body shop, or if you had something to do with the camera industry or photography or anything like that. I think you could go home and get a gig, all right? So I like the fact that you're not going to just get to the point of no return. So you do have a breaking point.
Absolutely.
Where you say, okay, I'm going to get to this number, and if I haven't gotten there, I will go home.
Right.
And so we know that there's some sanity left in Hey Vern.
Hopefully. So when I ran my business for 20 years, do you know how many times I was late on my payments?
Never.
0.
Never.
So for me, I try to incorporate that same thing to my life here. I try to be responsible.
Yeah.
And if you're going to come overseas and you're going to try to do something, you have to have some discipline. You can't just throw caution to the wind.
And as far as I know, you don't have any quote unquote bad habits. You're not a big drinker.
Don't drink.
You don't smoke.
Don't smoke. Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Okay. So you don't have a lot of things that you're frivolously spending money on.
Just like fancy camera gear and stuff.
Well,
that's
okay.
about it.
That's okay. Again, you're following your bliss. You're following your passion. if you love, like we got this big fancy light behind us here, something I'll never own.
Oh, you will too. It's not that much, Paul. Trying to get him this big ring light.
I explained to Vern, he's talking to me about all this stuff, and I said, no, my subscribers have very low expectations.
Now you just raised them because they're going to see you
ruin that.
shining.
He goes, what editing software do you use? I go, how do you spell editing? I don't know.
You've got to be the only guy I know that doesn't edit, Paul. That's pretty amazing.
It is what it is.
And it's worked for you, right?
Well, we were talking earlier on his show, and we were talking about all this editing stuff and lights and camera. And I was telling him, he was asking me on his channel, which you can watch, I hope you do. Hey, Vern, we're going to put a thing in there if you want to see his interview with me. But one of the analogies that I made was that there are guys that make YouTube, okay, and they're like the Titanic, the movie Titanic, right? The Titanic made millions and millions of dollars. It was heavily produced. It had Leonardo DiCaprio and that other chick, whatever her name is, and so it was a massive success. And that's how some people approach YouTube. They've got all the equipment. They've got their goal is to make the finest production video possible, and they want to have 1 million subscribers, and they want to make all the money, and they want to be number one. And then you've got me, and I just want to be like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's right.
I'm happy with my little cult.
Well, there you go. And it's working for you. So.
Well, it works a little bit, but you know, I think there's a niche for everyone.
Oh, I agree.
That's why I like to promote channels. That's why I like, you know, I think the last 3 or 4 or 5 people that I've had on, I had Ging on here. I had Gio's girlfriend. Well, that's Gio's girlfriend. Is Ging.
Oh, okay.
I had the Short Province girl on. I had a guy named Paul with Paul's Asian Adventure. I've got you. The Filipina P came on one time, and we talked up their channels a little bit. And the reason I like doing it is that you may tune into their channels and you may love them or you may hate them. But if you don't ever know about them, you don't know. And so there's a lot of things that I do that may not hit on the issues or resonate with people that well. So like when I did the last guy, Paul, with his Asian Adventure, he's a lot younger than me. He's a lot more active than me. And so there might be guys that want to see the travel stuff and the scuba diving and all that, and I can't offer it to you. But I think that YouTube should be a community.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And so if everybody works together, it gives the people out there something more to choose from.
Right.
And they can tune into your channel and they can say, I hate this guy or I love this guy.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't cost anything.
Right.
In fact, on Vern's channel, I just want to let everybody know before we go, subscriptions, 50% off this week only. So if you subscribe, you get half off. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on the channel.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate it.
And make sure you check out his little channel. And I will talk to you crazy cats later. Thanks for tuning in.